loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Rye and this is Rye's Reading Corner, and today I'm going to be bringing you a spoiler-free book review for the newly published book, A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. So this book has been highly hyped and anticipated by many Sarah J. Maas lovers. I just discovered, I didn't just discover her, I just started reading her this series in January and absolutely loved it. So I could not wait for this book to come out. So in this video, I'm going to do a spoiler-free book review, like I said, and I'm going to break it up into 3 different categories. So I'm going to share with you what I liked and loved about this story, things that were problematic or that I disliked, and then I'm going to kind of then do another category where I share with you things that necessarily didn't bug me, but I could see it being problematic for other readers. And at the end, I will give you my star rating and if I think this book was a fail or if I think this book was a success. So let's get started. So for things that I loved about this book. So obviously this book follows 2 different characters really as the focus. It follows Nesta and it follows Cassian or Cassian. Everyone pronounces their names different, but I'm going to say it as Cassian for my purpose. So I feel like the people that have not liked this book, the major reason why they've disliked it is because they don't like Nesta as a character. They feel like she is a bitch. And I like Nesta as a character, so this was definitely a positive and a like for me with this book. I think Nesta is a bitch, and I will come out and say that, and she says that pretty much herself, not in those exact words, but she does say it as herself, that she's not necessarily a nice person a lot of times. But she is not that way just because she finds it fun to be mean to other people. I feel it truly that she is the way that she is because she has dealt with so much trauma since a young child. So again, I'm not spoiling this book, but I will be saying things from the other books in the series. So just as a warning, I mean, she has lost her mother. She went from being really wealthy to poor, to her father kind of being depressed himself, to losing her sister being taken by the Fae, and then her turning into a Fae, and then seeing an awful war happen, and seeing her father kill her. Like, anybody who's going to go through that is going to have some trauma they're going to have to deal with. And the way Nesta deals with it is by not being nice to other people because she does not want to let them in because she's afraid. She has a lot of guilt. She has a lot of trauma. She is, just has experienced a lot of terrible, awful things in her life, and she definitely is affected by it, and she doesn't deal with it in a positive way, and you know this from the 3.5 book, that she sleeps around a lot, and she's getting drunk and spending lots of money, but she's dealing with it, I feel like, in a very realistic way for many people. When people deal with trauma and stress and guilt in all different ways, and definitely it happens a lot that people do and deal with it in unhealthy ways, or they shut people out and are not very nice. So I think her way is very realistic and real and relatable for a lot of people that could be reading this book. So I don't mind the way she is because it's clearly, there's a reason why she's that way, and I think it made her super relatable to a lot of different people who are reading her story. Also in this story, you get really watch her grow as a person and as a character, and I really respected that. I think Sarah J. Maas does a really good job at making her characters realistic even though they're set in a fantasy world, and I admire her for that. Also, Nesta is a badass character, and towards the end of the book, she is just she's a badass, and I think she is a strong woman, and I really connect and inspire. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Also, this book touches upon friendship, and I really appreciated that. We are introduced to new characters. We have Gwen and Emery, and they become a trio with Nesta. And I think Sarah J. Maas's touch upon the strength of friendship and woman power is done really well with these 3 girls. And again, I really admire that because I feel like you can connect to this book even though it's a fantasy story. It talks about real things, and I appreciate that. Also, I think this book really touches upon a woman's strength and woman power and unity, and I love that. I think she's done that a lot in her other books. When Rhysand, I know people say his name all different, wants different things in women's rights, especially be able to fight. But I feel like it really is echoed in this book through Nesta. And I love that woman empowerment, that women can do anything that men can do. And Sarah J Maas did a fabulous job doing that in this book. Okay, so let's kind of touch upon some of the things that I did not care for. So the first thing has nothing to do with the content of the book. It's what the way the book looks like. So everyone knows that Sarah J Maas books of the ACOTAR series came out with new covers and stopped selling the original. So for me, I only had the first book in the old cover, so it wasn't like I was devastated about it. So I do have all the other ones in the new cover, and they're all hardback. But they all have this sleek black matte background with a bright top color. I think there's pink, like a bright pink, a lime green, and an aqua, and they have these beautiful designs like all over the spine, and it looks so pretty on the bookshelf. And then you get this one, which has this gray background. I'm just not a fan of orange to begin with, so for me, it just doesn't do it for me. But in the spine, it's just not as pretty as the other books. So for me, the design of the book is definitely a flaw. It does not still match the brand new hardcover books. Like, I get it if they were all maybe different color backgrounds, but all other ones are black, and then this one's gray. I would have loved a black cover with like silver on it. Would have tied into the book really well. I get the orange for the flames, and I get not wanting to do like orange and black, maybe too Halloween-y, but I think a silver or a black book like background with silver would have been amazing. So definitely the actual physical like of the book, like the look of it really fell short for me. Also, in this book, I think it's used twice, but the C word is used twice in this book, and that's super problematic to me. I think that word is super offensive, and I feel like it wasn't necessary. It just did not do anything. I don't know why it needed to be included in there. And so for me, that was a big problem and a big issue, and I wish Sarah J Maas did not use the C word in this book. I just find it super inappropriate and not necessary. It does nothing for the plot. It's not needed for the characters. I just don't like it. Okay, so since I said before, this, Nesta is the main character. We have Cassian as well. We do have all of the other characters that play a role in this story, but definitely Farah and Rhysand take a kind of a back role in this story, and I really missed them and the banter that the two of them have. I love Rhysand. I love him as a character. I think he's great, and I really missed that in this book. And don't get me wrong, I love the connection and the relationship between Nesta and Cassian, but there's just something about that I really missed with those characters. Also, Moore is really a sideline character in this book. She is barely in it. She does play some role in the book, but really her role is just not really like essential to kind of promoting and going the plot line. And so for me, that was a really big loss, because again, I think she would have fit in really well with the trio of girls that I mentioned before, because they all kind of bond over having something kind of a negative experiences in life, and I think Moore would have fit right in with them, and I really would have liked to seen her maybe integrate into that trio a little bit more. I know her and Nesta have not the best past, but I think it could have been done, and I think could have been done very well. All right, so the last category I'm going to touch upon is things that necessarily weren't problematic to me, or I didn't really like knock points off necessarily for this book, but I could see them being a really big issue maybe for other people. And like the first thing I said before is Nesta. If you're not a Nesta fan, you're definitely going to find some issues with this book, because Nesta is the central character of this book, and so I could see why, if you don't like Nesta, why you wouldn't like this story. Also, I could see I would say maybe like almost the first half of the book is really character driven to me. You really are working with Nesta and some of the trauma that she's gone through and kind of dealing with all that stuff. And it's not super action-packed, I would say, until the second half of the book, and it's towards the end, and it's not nearly as action-packed as some of the other books in this series. So if you're someone that wants action every page turner, I feel like you might find this a little slow. Personally, I like character-driven stories, and like I said, I like Nesta's character. I like the characterization of her, and to kind of track her progress as she goes along. So for me, it was not an issue, but I could see why other people might have it. And the last big thing is the sex and smut in this book is like, it is like a different level than any of the other books in this series, I truly hardly believe. It is so explicit and X-rated. Like, I could see why people would not be comfortable with this, would feel uncomfortable reading this book, because it kind of is. For me, it is what it is, and I'm not someone that's gonna skip over it. It doesn't necessarily bug me, but it is a lot. It's not like it's just one dedicated chapter where it's really, really explicit. It is several points throughout the book where it gets very sexual, very explicit, very, very descriptive of what is going on and the action between Nesta and Cassian. It just gets to a whole nother level. So I could see why 100% why people might have issues with that or make them feel uncomfortable. So definitely a trigger warning for that for sure. So overall, I kind of took everything that I just talked about. I use Cawpile, which is created by G from Book Gross, which I'll post her channel down below. This book came out at a 5 stars, and I am not surprised. Like I said, there are some things that kind of bugged me in this book, but overall, I really enjoyed this story. I enjoyed Nesta's journey, and I really do think that this is a great segue from going from a different main character to another main character. I think that was done really well. And yeah, I really enjoyed this story, and it was another 5-star for me. All of these books have been 5 stars besides the first one was a 4-star for me, and then the 3.5 novel was I think a 4-star as well. But the other ones have been 5 stars for me, and I really enjoyed this book. So if you have read this book, let me know your thoughts down below. What was your rating? Do you agree or disagree with me? Again, these are just my opinions, and so everyone's entitled to their own. If you plan on reading this book, let me know. Or if you don't, let me know down in the comments below. I can't wait to hear what everyone has to say. So yeah, so if you want to take this journey with me, please press that subscribe button. If you never want to miss any of my content, press that bell so you will get notified. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Also, if you want my friend on any of my other social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, all that information is linked down in the bio below. So yeah, stay kind, loves, and I'll see you next time. Bye. So pretty from the minute that I met